Hey guys, Jason here. We're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to cover a bunch of the tickers that we follow in the chat room, and I'm going to be pointing out some of the patterns that we see and some of the patterns that we call out over the course of the day, how I play them and how I recognize them. So we're going to start with NGAS here, and just looking at it at the 5 minute, it doesn't look like a whole lot, but there are a couple patterns that we recognized pretty early on that we were able to capitalize on. So I'm just going to draw those in for you, and we'll quickly discuss them. So to start off, I'm going to draw what I saw around 12 o'clock, which was a quick symmetrical triangle that followed a really good bull run between 10:30 and 11:30. So to draw that in, I use these two candles here, green, green. I always use the tops for my resistances, and I use the bottoms of my reds for my supports. Connect the lines there. We can see that we have some agreements, and as you can tell, we broke out of that into a bearish 4-period decline, a little bit of consolidation, and then a drop. So that pattern took us from about 280 to almost 277.7. So that was a pretty good quick play. And what was really cool about this one is that one of your lines will continue down, and if we see it here, we can see it acting as resistance, and then ultimately we break out of it on this candle, and we rally from with the break at 278, let's say, and we go all the way to 2812, and then we cool off for the remainder of the day. So two really quick, easy patterns to recognize and get some quick scalps in. Next pattern we're going to look at is the Tesla 5-minute. This one we pointed out pretty early in the day by 11:30, and this was really an educated guess. What we saw here was high of the day around, let's say, 19939, and we see a series of higher lows. So we connect the dots. We look for our reds connecting to our reds. So we have here, 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 and then we finally have a break into a huge downside that really took over the rest of the day. So drawing a couple lines again takes us from 19936 down to 19705. So not a bad move on a Tesla 5-minute quick pattern play. And again, you can just look at where your highs are, draw another chart. We got a green, we have an agreement here, and that tells us exactly at 13:35 when that downside pattern shifts. And when the patterns change, we look for a new direction, we get a new direction. Next, we're going to look at the NFLX 5-minute chart. I only caught one pattern on this one, and I was really looking for some sort of triangle or pennant following this big rally. What I ended up getting was a little bit of a descending wedge, and I drew it in a little bit like this. So again, I'm connecting my reds to my reds, looking for that line of best fit. In this case, it's going to be around here. We get a bottom, another one, and then we get a couple of agreements there. So that's where we estimate our line's going to be. Our resistance we draw in at the top of the greens. So I'm going to start here. There's a doji, which I'll recognize as a green candle. Draw it in here. And then we get this big rally. We get a consolidation into this descending wedge pattern, a break. And then over the course of the day, the pattern shifts from downside to sideways, eventually going in an upside move to about 100. So we're looking at the Apple 5-minute chart here. One of our members pointed out this pattern early this morning, noticing that there was a few different conditions that we're setting up for a symmetrical triangle, and those essentially are higher lows and lower highs. And in order to recognize that, we simply just connect our dots here. We have 1, 2, essentially 3. We correct that a little bit, make it a little bit tighter. And for our upside support, we'll just connect these two lines, and we can see that there is a clear break on descending volume. The pattern breaks, and the bear sentiment remains for the majority of the day. So if you ended on this break at 105.89, you could have potentially went as far as 105.25 and sold in that area. And really what you would have done at this point is look for a new pattern, and you would have probably just set up like a really ugly downside trend and maybe sold at that volume. That's a huge volume candle. That would have been your signal. Something's changing. It's just time to get out. So theoretically, 105.89 to 105.46, let's say. Another pattern we caught early on was on the US oil 5-minute chart for WTI crude. Anytime that I see a huge jump in price action and the setup for essentially what is a pull for a bear flag, or sorry, a pull for a flag or a pennant, I'm going to look for that pattern to form, and I'm going to be looking for, in this case, a series of higher lows and lower highs. So to draw this in, we simply went like that, connect our red on reds. We got some agreements here, so we're in the right area for support. And up top, we're going to connect these dots, and we can see that we have confirmation, or support rather, here. First test, another confirmation. We can see that we're tightening up. We're in the range of a real pattern. We don't have all three touches yet, but we have our pattern, and we can see that we get a bull break, and that bull break just keeps on going all the way from about 410 to, theoretically, you could have sold it at 47.68. If you wanted to draw this in, you would have been looking to set up some sort of support line here, and that would have taken you all the way to 47.56, say. Last chart I want to point out is Twitter 5-minute, and what I want to do here is not show you a great trade that we did, but rather indicate that a pattern break doesn't always mean that the trend is going to change to the bullish side or to the bearish side. Sometimes all it means is that something has changed. In this case, we're going in a clear down channel, and the pattern broke without any increase in volume, without much bullish sentiment, and we can see that we essentially just went sideways for the rest of the day. So something to keep in mind, when you have a pattern break, doesn't always mean you're going to rally. Sometimes it just means that the universe has shifted and we need to reassess where we are in our trade. And that's all I got for today. If you guys like this sort of pattern breakdown, I'll try and do it more often for you. Let me know. Thanks.